All right, say something stupid.
It's hot as balls.
Hayden.
All right. All right. Don't do that. Keep all your juices and sweat to yourself.
Yeah, by the end, I'll just be able to go
Hello and welcome
to hell.
Entertain This,
Hell edition.
a podcast about movies, TV shows, and video games, and today about sweat.
The AC is out.
Unfortunately, it is July, and the AC to this building is out.
And we're on the second floor.
That's okay.
We're also in Georgia.
Heat rises.
That's okay. The producers are suffering just as much as we are. So.
It's a group effort.
Yeah. This is episode 22. Top 10 TV shows that had sucky endings or something like that.
Something like that.
Something like that.
TV shows that ended poorly.
Yeah, and it was a user-based top 10 list, so we'll get into that later. In the meantime, my name is Hayden.
No, it's not.
It is today, and until I change it. This guy over here is...
Mitchell. Scusi.
Yeah.
You're like, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
we're just going to go with that.
All right, Mitchell. And then this guy over here,
Tom.
Tam. This episode is brought to you by...
23 and me. No,
it's not. It's actually brought to you by DogSpot. It's a dog adoption and boarding place located in Loganville. It provides dog training, boarding, and adoptions for dogs and cats. For more information, go to ppnk.org and support your local businesses, which is what we're doing.
And since it's .org, you know it's not fake.
That's right. So if you want to get dogs that are trained and rehabilitated, as it were, that's the place to go to. And they have a cool little commercial. There it is. Hope you enjoyed that commercial. All right. Also, we need to announce that we are recording our first tabletop gaming session. Cyberpunk.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's the logo for it. We're going to be playing at a place called Meeple Madness in Flowery Branch. And shout out to that business there for letting us use it. And we'll be recording our first 3-hour session. And that will come out whenever I finish editing it. So.
And after we play it.
Yeah. So we're recording it later this week, next week, and then we'll see what happens after that. So by all means, please be a part of that.
It's hot.
When we release the first episode of that, feel free to participate. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, and hey, maybe it'll impact the game itself. So I would very much look forward to your input on that.
My shirt is sticking to me like a wet Kleenex.
Yep. There's only one thing that can make this episode worse climate-wise than it actually is, and that's a punishment review. Mitch. What punishment?
But it's also chilly because it has a glacier involved.
A glacier? You mean an iceberg?
Who's
Yeah,
punished?
that's
I
what
thought
I
this
meant.
was your punishment.
No, unfortunately, it was mine. He just punished me with it.
Yes.
So wait, because you got punished, but you just made him watch it with you?
No, he got punished. I punished him with watching
Was it?
Titanic, the animated movie.
Yeah.
I thought it was you this time. No, you had to watch the Powerpuff Girl
Yep.
movie. I remember now.
That's right. We already reviewed that last week.
How far into the movie did you start rooting for the iceberg?
Pretty early on.
Well, technically, the iceberg wasn't a thing. It was kind of a planned.
They were going to crash into it on purpose. They were like, enough of this. We're just going to end it. Even the characters who gained self-awareness were like, this is the worst movie we ever been in. We're going to knock ourselves off.
It was pretty much like that. I felt bad that Mitch had to watch this because this is like his 15th punishment or something crazy like that.
Out of 22 episodes. Yeah.
So I watched it with him, and we did a little bit of research. We found out that there are 3, count them 3, Titanic the animated movies.
Somehow.
Yes.
So
2 of them are sequels.
There's Titanic, then there's The Iceberg Strikes Back, and
No.
then Return to the Iceberg.
No, there's an Italian one. Then there's the American. I guess this was American. The one that we watched. And then there's a sequel to the American one where they go to Atlantis.
Yes, to raise the Titanic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah.
What?
Just wait till you hear how the Titanic sunk, though, in this story.
Yeah.
It lost the will to
overall,
stay afloat.
Overall, throughout the world, this has got a 1.6 out of 10 on IMDb.
Yeah.
It got a 1?
Surprisingly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is Samurai Cop bad. Like,
We're going to cut straight to the chase on how...
something could be Samurai Cop bad.
Just to make people understand, this is how the Titanic sunk in this movie.
Okay.
Tentacles, the dog-looking octopus threw the iceberg at the Titanic on accident.
It was a swole octopus.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. It was just muscles.
Tentacles the octopus.
That was his name.
He had a name, like they knew who he was.
He was tricked into throwing the iceberg at the Titanic by was it a shark that had
an eye patch?
Well, no, he had a prison hat on because he was an escaped convict.
Prison number and everything.
Yeah,
a shark.
Yes, he had stripes in the little prison like white and black hat.
All right. So from the beginning, the Titanic sets sail.
Yes.
Aboard it are the upper class and the lower class. So that's about as accurate as the
your aristocracy and then the poor.
Right.
And then you had the mice.
You have the mice and the dogs, and there were cats, but they never were an important factor at that point.
The main protagonist guy with his flashy earring that they made sure to pronounce, and
he looked like Prince Eric from Little Mermaid, but like a little
more mulletly.
Yeah, he looked a little bit more Billy Joelish.
There's a bit of Billy Ray in there somewhere.
So what happened? Like the girl's sad she's gonna marry some dude with an eye patch.
Yeah, which
who wants exclusive
surprise!
Rights.
He's the bad guy.
He wants exclusive whaling rights.
Yeah.
So there's just some swarthy looking dude with an eye patch, and it's like, oh, that's the bad guy. It's like, wow,
yeah,
really?
Pretty much.
He looked like a very young Colonel Sanders.
And,
but
throughout this whole movie, the main female and male protagonists can talk to animals, and you want to know you want to know how? Magic moonbeams.
Yeah, she cries. The moon hits her moonbeam.
The moon hits her eye like a big pizza pie, and that's amore.
Yeah, and then the dolphins are like, "We can talk now because of magic and stuff."
And nobody seems alarmed that they're talking to animals.
Not in the slightest bit. Yeah.
Is there anybody who's just like, wow,
it's just natural?
No. Oh my god. Well, I mean, Tentacles the octopus exists, and apparently there's an underwater shark prison.
Oh yeah, and did you know nobody died on the Titanic in this?
That's an important.
Not a single
a Disney movie.
animal.
It's not.
No, it's not Disney.
Oh, it's not.
It was almost appalling. Like it was almost offensive. Because
to the memory of the Titanic.
Well, it starts out with these mice talking to their grandchildren mice, which I guess is like 70 years later.
Yeah.
Because mice live that long.
He's like wearing a waistcoat and he has like glasses or something.
Well, what confuses me is they're like living in like this modern day Manhattan looking thing.
Yeah.
But then they're mice, so why do they have why are they living in these skyscrapers like in normal living rooms and stuff?
Yeah.
Stop questioning it.
Dystopian future.
Well, they're talking about they're reading about the Titanic or something, and the kids are like, oh my God, so many people died in the Titanic, it's horrible. And the grandpa mouse is like, actually, that's a misconception. There was nobody who died in the Titanic.
I was on that boat.
Yeah, and I'm like, what about the people who still have family members that died in the Titanic or something?
Like being your parents or whatever were on the Titanic and unfortunately passed away during the accident, and you're watching this movie and you're just like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. There's a Kraken.
Oh,
Tentacles the octopus.
Come to find out, they were really they showed cleavage very prevalently.
Yeah,
on all the female characters,
it's
including
weird.
The mice.
Okay, so the cartoon is very crappily animated. It was like nobody ever blinked, so they had dead eyes, and they just kind of
their mouths hardly moved.
Conversations like this, and sometimes their mouths would move with the words, sometimes not. And if they would ever express, they would pop and lock. It'd be like that would be their way of expressing. Sometimes they'd talk to somebody and they'd shake their head, but it'd be like a robot.
Does not come.
Yeah.
Need oil for servo motor.
It was very crappily animated, and so you're like, okay, this is just a low budget kids movie, and then they would do body objectification, they would. Bam, cleavage.
Bam, some dude's bulge.
Yeah, you're just like, what is going on?
So, yeah. When did this movie come out?
1999.
Yeah.
1999.
It looks like it's made in the 60s or 70s, but it was 1999.
Yeah, we did the thing. Because
People got paid money.
They
to
were
make
kind
this.
of copying off a Don Bluth animation, like Sword in the Stone, and Anastasia, like the very,
Which we looked up. Sword and Stone came out in 63.
which was way better, and the animation flowed better. Like this,
Yes.
I don't know what they were doing. So
I mean, Archimedes. He was the real character of that show, that movie.
he was, yes,
The talking bird.
yeah,
Okay.
That's a movie.
he was an
if you
owl.
watch that.
But yeah, it was a bad movie. It was probably one of the worst punishments, I think.
Other than Cats, yeah, it's probably the worst.
Yeah.
Coming
would
up
know.
next, Cats, the butthole cut.
You would know.
Well, the only part that I found, well, I guess not that it was good, but it was funny, was the mice had originally cut the lines so that they couldn't communicate with other ships.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
So that, something to do with, so that these two characters could get together instead of the eye patch bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they had to
So
cut
the mice
communication.
cut the communication line for the entire ship.
Yes.
That's the reason.
So
I
the
think it
so the two people could just be with each other.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. I don't know.
That's like I robbed a bank in Arkansas, so this French couple in Paris
Well,
would meet.
they needed the communication back because something about an iceberg.
Well, I mean, they probably had to send an SOS.
Yeah, that might have been it. So,
Well, they used this older mouse. He laid down, and because the cords for some reason couldn't reach anymore,
He used his mustache. That's awesome.
and then he died. They fried him to death.
Like the people, they were crying over him.
Yeah.
But then because nobody dies, at the end, he was still alive somehow.
Yeah, they're like all celebrating. The Kraken's like playing with flowers and the
Tossing
like,
people in the
New
air.
York Harbor and stuff like
And
that.
everybody's like,
and
yeah.
then the guy like comes strolling up, is like, guess who didn't die?
And everybody's like, mouse guy with mustache.
It was very strange.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I'm glad you had to watch this.
Yeah,
And not
It was-
me. This
Well,
is-
hey, there's two more. We could watch the sequel, or they go to resurrect the Titanic.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have
That
to bring it
could
back.
be yours. So, all right, cool.
It was bad.
So, on a scale of 1 to 10, Mitch,
0.5.
what'd you give Cats?
Nothing.
You gave I think you gave Cats like a .01. All right,
Cats gets 0.
0.5 is acceptable. I think that if you have a blind and deaf kid, that you just need to put
Nonsense.
something on
To
I
feel
guess.
better about yourself.
Yeah,
That he's not just sitting
can
in
sit
a
front of
room
it.
by himself.
Yeah, and you know that there's like not actual hateful messages coming out, like negative energy coming off of the TV towards him. He might be okay with it, All right. Well, there you go. All right, cool. Well, now that's our punishment review. Each week we spin a wheel, and one of us gets punished with a horrible movie, TV
Most likely
show,
Mitch.
or a video game. It's mostly Mitch.
Yeah,
and
pretty
then we go spend the week, watch that thing, and then come back and talk to you about it. So there you go. If you have any ideas about horrible movies, TV shows, or video games, get it on our Facebook or other social mediums, and let us know, and we'll add it to the wheel. Mitch, social mediums.
Mitchell.
I gotta flip this heavy book over.
All right. We got Buzzsprout, which is entertain.this, or entertain this. Instagram, it's just entertain.this. Twitter, @this.entertain. Our Patreon is patreon.com/entertain_this. And then we have our Facebook podcast group, which is Entertain This Podcast. And we have our Facebook page, which is Entertain This.
I think it was the most flawless, social media.
I'm trying to get through it before I sweat more.
Yeah.
22 episodes in, he finally can just go.
Let's see if Tom can screw up his Twitch plug.
Entertain_this
Good
on
job.
Twitch.
Must be nice to
Back
have
to you,
one
man.
thing.
Yeah, one
Back to
thing.
you.
And he doesn't even put anything on it anyways.
There is a video on there, and there are clips you can watch. There's stuff on there.
Yeah. All right. Well. Okay. Let's move on to news and reviews. Each week we talk about stuff that you would want to hear about movies, TV shows, and video games. So we do some watching, and we'll explain to you what our thoughts on those watchings, hopefully spoiler free. And then we'll have news of upcoming stuff that's coming out about those preferred platforms. Starting with movies. Who's got movies?
I do.
Mitch.
Anyways, I watched the Outpost.
Why is there snot coming out? of your nose?
Dude, it is hot. Everything's leaking, man.
Is that a thing? Everything.
Everything.
So hot, you
It-
start snotting.
So,
It's
like,
proboscis
it's so
is
humid,
having
my
a
sinuses
going out
is
of
opened up.
business sale.
Ugh.
Dude, it's hot.
How much weight do you think he's going to lose sitting here?
This is drenched on.
Dude, when we get to work, you just turn the AC
There's
up.
a
and just
puddle
lay there.
underneath his chair.
All right, go ahead.
what was I? Oh, I watched The Outpost.
The Outpost.
The Outpost.
It was hot there too. Okay.
Yeah,
This
I'm
was a
sure it
movie.
was. They're out in the middle of what was it, Afghanistan?
That's right.
Yeah, they
It's hot out there.
basically they were in a fishbowl while the Taliban took pot shots at them for years.
That sucks.
Yeah, it'd be a bad place to be because essentially the whole movie starts is you've got these people on a helicopter flying in, and their base is surrounded by like
Mountains.
yeah, just like a mile high mountain all the way around, and I mean you're just sitting in the bottom and looking up is like this is bad.
So they're just like sitting there in a fob, just like getting shot at.
It's not a fob. It's an out. Well, we would call it a cop, but an outpost. Yeah.
That pretty much they said every day they took shots. And in the movie, I mean, it's based after a true story.
Yeah.
In the movie, I mean, every time you see them outside, at one point or another, somebody's gonna take a shot. You get shot at. But it was pretty good. It had Scott Eastwood. He was the main person that was in it.
Okay.
He did the Clint Eastwood thing.
Yeah, he had that a good bit, mainly because it was hot. He was getting shot at.
You looking constipated.
Yeah.
But it had him, Orlando Bloom. It had Milo Gibson, which is Mel Gibson's son. Scott what was his name? Scott Landry Jones.
Yeah. He's the dude from Get Out, like the ADHD brother.
Yeah,
I think he gets impaled with deer antlers.
Oh. In this movie? There's
Yeah.
deer out there?
No. He gets impaled with deer antlers and Get Out.
For those of you who haven't seen Get Out, sorry.
No. He gets beat over the head with the golf club.
Caleb Landry Jones. That's what his name was.
It looks kind of like
He was in 3 Billboards. He was in X-Men First Class.
Yeah.
He was Banshee in that. He was in Get Out.
he's in a bunch of movies.
Yeah, he's
He's in stuff.
He's
Yeah,
definitely
he's a
like
newer guy
He's
coming
definitely
up.
like the main actor of the movie. I would say.
yeah. Him and Scott Eastwood are probably the two most on screen people.
Okay.
So,
So
but you had Orlando Bloom, which this is his like a second military movie that he's been in with this and Black Hawk Down. But it focuses on basically this group, which is like I said, it's real life.
Does he fall out of a Black Hawk helicopter because he missed the rope?
no, spoilers. So it's a good movie. I, honestly, like I'm really critical of war movies because, army and stuff. But it was pretty on point. There was a couple times where I'm like, nobody talks that way. But
They had a lot of well, I'd say a lot. They had some of the actual people that were in the scenario.
Yeah.
As some of the
Extras.
actors, background actors, so their parts, some of the parts that they were in, it was kind of lackluster acting, but for the most part, they did pretty good because most of the time they were just like background actors. But I mean,
the
not to give anything away, it's
But
I
here
mean
we go.
it's a big gunfight. It's
Yeah,
you could tell from the beginning something bad is going to go down.
they're brewing for a big old battle.
old
That's gonna happen.
brouhaha.
Yeah.
Brewing is the key word there, with everyone sitting here in the heat.
So
Stewing, I think, is the correct word.
that's right, and and that's basically I don't know why the military. I mean, there's lots of logistical explanations for stuff, but they always put their bases in basins surrounded by mountains, and then it's easy for the enemy to get up on high points and lob
take
recoil
pot
shots
shots
and stuff like that at everybody. So yeah, and that's essentially what happens until it comes to a head. So
Yeah, I mean, the whole time they have like a translator that keeps coming in telling him the Taliban are coming, and they just kind of brush it off like they come every day. What are you talking about? They show up and shoot at us every time. But it kind of shows the dynamic a little bit between them and talking with the elders of the tribal village that lives outside the walls.
you could tell it was pretty low budget. They shot it where?
I think it was in Bulgaria is
Yeah.
where it was filmed at.
Some Eastern European place, and
Bulgaria, Afghanistan.
yeah,
I mean, other than
the mountains looked like Afghanistan. I'll tell you that much.
other than probably 2 or 3 scenes, it's all filmed just in this little outpost that they're in. But it shows some of them dealing with the kind of on-site PTSD. Some of them show having how they deal with it afterwards. So it does I think for real military like servicemen, I think it does a justice of showing what could be without going too graphic of how people get hurt.
Would you say that's true?
Yeah, there were some dudes that got shot in the face, and I was like, that's definitely just a little bullet hole. But the idea is you don't want to like scare the living crap out of people. When you just want to tell a story, and I think they did a good job with that.
And it showed to me, even though some of them didn't always get along, they do pretty well. It's like when rubber meets the road, it's
Yeah, that's the important thing.
they're going to help each other.
Like the Landry guy, he plays like the Caleb Landry Jones. I don't know why I
Yeah.
picked his middle name, but that guy, he plays like this weird kind of like social pariah soldier. And there's always one in every unit that everybody's just kind of like watching and not really
Why?
talking to.
Yeah.
And when it hits the fan, so to speak, everybody kind of puts all that difference aside and they work together. And that's hopefully how a unit would be under fire. So
I enjoyed it very much. IMDb rates it at like a 6.7. I would probably give it a 7.7, 7.5.
A 7 is fair. So
Because I watched it twice while I had it because I had rented it through Amazon. I had it for 48 hours, so I watched it at home and then I showed Brandon while we were working. But I thought it was a pretty good movie. I'd watch it again if I could find a way to watch it without having to pay another. I think it was $8 because it was fairly new.
I'm sure it'll come out for free eventually.
Yeah,
Once
it was on. It came out July 2nd, so it's fairly
so
new.
it's recent.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I watched it on Amazon Prime. So
there you go. Cool. What
Prime.
news have you for us?
well, I talked about it once before, but the New Mutants movie that's supposed to come out in August.
Snyder Cut.
That's wrong company.
Thank you. I was waiting for you to say it though.
They've kind of shown a more recent trailer, which shows more. Like originally, it was supposed to be more horror, is what they said. But this cut kind of looked from the trailer looked more, I guess, more X-Men-ish, which you don't want it too much like the original X-Men movies because some of them were kind of cheesy. But it shows more of the people in their element, like using their powers, not just like afraid of whatever's hunting them in this insane asylum that they're supposed to be in.
This movie's gonna suck. I'm calling it now.
I don't think so.
It's gonna suck. It's gone under different imaging so many different
Yeah.
times. There's no way that it can just like
It's
understand
gonna
its
be
identity
like
anymore.
what, Dark Phoenix or something?
Yeah. Like there's
It's gonna come out and everybody's gonna be like, "What? Were you guys drunk when you made this?"
They've changed how it's supposed to feel so many times. It's
gonna be a mess.
I don't think it will be.
All right. Well, I'm calling.
I just want an X-Men movie that actually has the song in it somewhere. Just make that happen.
So
I still think the best X-Men movie is the first one.
with
The first one that came out in like 2002,
no, it was really not.
I think the
2001 maybe.
Days of Future Past, where Wolverine goes into the past. I think that's the best one.
That was good, but
With the Dinkles,
Yeah,
Peter Dinkles.
Peter Dinkles.
you see Magneto kind of
Dingleberry?
uses full power, like moving the stadium, crashing it around him.
Instead of just making Wolverine stand still.
Yeah,
It's just like he's like, I can move the whole city. Watch. Whoosh.
Cool. Well, we'll see what happens. Any announcement on when that's coming out?
still supposed to be August.
Yeah, we'll see.
Alleged.
I mean, everything gets moved back. And that's when it's supposed to come out for right now.
Like if Christopher Nolan's delaying, everybody else will delay. It's going to happen. So, all right, cool. Movies done. I'll do TVs next, and I'm going to start with the news first. Let's start with some cable released some of their stats, and they have the best quarterly stats that they've had in a long time, such as Fox News, MSNBC, and CNN. Can we detect a trend here? Basically, only the news is profiting off of cable right now. Fox News is at 1.96 million, which is up 48% than they were last year.
A lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. And MSNBC is at 1.21 million, and CNN is at 1.19 million. So all of these news outlets are what they consider skyrocketing because,
There's nothing else to watch on TV right now.
there's
Nothing's
nothing
new.
else to watch.
Yeah.
People are paranoid. They're at home, and their target audience, they say, is 25 to 51. I think it's like 45 to 51, but that's just me.
45 to 60,
I don't
61.
I don't know anybody that watches the news that's not like, a boomer or something, but
Wakes up at 5 a.m., makes
Yeah.
coffee, and just goes.
well, this crap's on 24/7 now, and
Yeah.
they're talking about everything under the sun. And if you want if you have an opinion on it, it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. Some of those outlets will agree with you.
One of them will.
Yeah. So you just let them feed you the information that you want to hear, and then go to sleep paranoid. So
Come on, sheep, eat the food.
that's right.
Yeah, somehow there's a chain shortage now. How? How you have chain shortage?
Because
Did it just disappear?
I don't know. It's a conspiracy so people don't lick the change and give each other corona.
I mean,
So that being said, the cables pat themselves on the back. News is patting themselves on the back. they're doing well. They're having a great year. Netflix put out that they have 193 million subscribers, so they are decimating cable in just their own platform.
I know I'm one of them.
193, and how many of them are shared?
Yeah,
So-
it's true.
That's like you have 193 subscribers. It's
Yeah.
probably like 300 million people just mooching off of them.
That's true. That's true. I mean, like you think like there's plenty of people that have cable and Netflix. There's plenty of people that have Netflix and not cable. I don't know if anybody that doesn't have cable.
Plenty of people who have their roommates Netflix.
Yeah.
I don't
So,
have cable.
I don't know of anybody that doesn't have Netflix but has cable. I don't know anybody
I mean,
like that.
technically, I don't have Netflix.
I was like, my parents have my
You
Netflix
said
and
it. They're
cable.
coming for you. So I just think it's funny that Netflix has just like decided to release their numbers. I don't know if it's in conjunction with the cables releasing their numbers and bragging about how great they're doing.
Just to go, haha, look at you.
They're
But
just
like,
oh, that's cute.
the news, which is considered a staple of cable, information, is not even at 2 million for the highest news network. Space Force, which was a TV show that you may or may not have seen, 40 million people watched it, and that 40 million subscribers.
Do you know that wrestling has like 1.2 million people watch every week? So the news really isn't doing that great.
I guess it's the same audience.
Hey, I'll watch it. I don't care.
Spencer Confidential, which was considered a not as very successful movie. It was in the top 10 successful movies for Netflix, but not number one, which was Extraction. That had 85 million viewers.
That's because Mark Wahlberg was in it. Everybody was like, let's watch this. And then after they watched it, they went, why did I watch this?
Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg looking confused. Huh? What? Say hi to your mother for me.
So Netflix is just kind of like, in my opinion, they decided to release their numbers because they're just like, nah, let's crush their spirit while they think they're ahead kind of thing. And they are. I mean, they're just, I'd like to see Amazon's and Hulu's and all of the other ones. And that's probably like 300 million people out there.
Before they get an overinflated opinion of themselves.
Yeah. And
Remind them where they are in the order.
cable can brag and they can see that show people that they're holding on, but I don't think they got 10 years in them. You know, I think eventually nobody's gonna give a crap about cable anymore.
New.
So yeah, there's your news for TV. Let's talk about a review that I watched. I watched on Netflix, Unsolved Mysteries.
Had to think about that, huh?
Go ahead, get it out of your system, Tom.
No, I'll refrain.
All right, cool.
No, I won't. Tonight on Unsolved.
It's too hot. It's too hot for all that.
Yeah.
Too hot for this. Oh my, I'm dying.
We're almost done, guys.
Oh god.
We're gonna fly through that top 10 list. Unsolved Mysteries. I don't know if you guys ever watched it before Netflix acquired it. They had the guy that come out there. They'd be like, tonight on Unsolved Mysteries.
Wearing like a raincoat in like a sketchy location.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
he just did a drug buy.
You know, like what's his name? The guy who played Will Riker and he did the Ripley's Believe It or Not stuff. They always had like the corniest lines.
Is that Robert
On
Stack?
Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Is that Robert Stack?
Yeah.
Like they do.
He was the guy from Star Trek.
No, it's not Robert Stack. His name is.
It was the guy from Star Trek.
Yes, he's from Star Trek.
I don't know his name, but
I'm really mad at myself that I can't remember his name. It's the heat. I'm blaming on that. But anyways,
Riker?
yeah. Well, Riker is the character's name. Will Riker.
that's his name.
All right. Doesn't matter. But anyways, so like they'd have those corny like
gonna look it up.
introductions, and they'd they do all these like setups for the mysteries that they're talking about, and like if something involved a baseball bat, the narrator would be holding a baseball bat and patting it on his palm and talking about like the details and stuff like that. So, but
Jonathan Frakes.
Jonathan Frakes, thank you. So the show for Netflix is obviously divulged very differently from that. The only nod they have to the original show is they'll show a silhouette of the narrator in the intro. That's about it. Everything else is very much Netflix documentary style, which I kind of appreciate. I think if we're talking about murder, we probably should make it corny, and. So and it's really cool how they do it. Like one of the episodes, one of the fan favorite episodes, it takes place in Cumming, Georgia, which isn't very far from here. And they describe a timeline and they show the timeline. And as the show updates the information, the evidence coming to the law enforcement investigating the murder, they'll update the timeline in real time. as it progresses, and it's pretty cool how they're able to show you that, and you just kind of understand the information a lot better. It could be a little bit biased. They could be kind of saying it's easier for the audience to understand this way if we go this route, as opposed to all the other theories that the law enforcement has, but it's still something.
So you're saying they show that it doesn't all happen in one day, like
Yes.
Las Vegas NCIS or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, it's called Unsolved Mysteries for a reason. So, and
Spoiler, they didn't solve it.
what's interesting, though, is that Netflix has announced that they've got so many viewers watching this show that a lot of tips and the investigations that the police have got a lot of helpful tips. So, that's another bragging right Netflix has over cable is like, hey,
We're helping solve crimes.
if you guys continue to air it on your crappy cable network, these people would still go, unjustified. So
Does the host or whatever, does he wear a trench coat?
he's not in the show. I just said he's not in the show.
I'm saying, is there a host?
No, there's no host in
They
the
need a
show.
host in
Pay
the trench
attention.
coat. A
Get
show
the
like
sweat
this.
out of your ears.
They just got the narrator.
There's no narrator.
He doesn't narrate
There's
stuff.
no narrator. It's a Netflix documentary. It's just
So the
goes right into
the
it.
documentary has nobody talking
No.
to show. You don't even
No.
see the person I'm talking
Nope. I don't know how else I can explain that.
about. Then how did
sounds
what
dumb.
are you watching? You just watching somebody record stuff?
It starts off with like a little title card that says on
I have to read?
April 17th in 2016 so and so disappeared, and then it'll be a cop like, yeah, I was called out to this date and this time, and I was investigating blah blah blah, and then it'll be like that victim's best friend and be like, hey, Cheryl never showed up late to work, and that day she was late, and that's how they do it.
And I found her in the woods with
They
her
have
guts
all-
raked out.
They have all the people there that were involved in the case explain it to you instead of just some guy who's like perched up on a bench.
I'm not talking about an actual person. I'm just saying I would
Or a
have
narrator.
Lurking out of the
expected.
shadows.
No.
I would have expected somebody to have like a voiceover talking.
That's Netflix's thing. Is all of their documentaries. I don't know of any that have a narrator in it. So, like Tiger King, you watch Tiger King. There's no narrators in that.
Unfortunately, yes.
I still haven't watched it.
So it's good. It's fascinating. There's 6 episodes for this, and they've already promised some more coming out because they've had great reception for it. And 5 of the 6 are missing people or murder, and the 6th one is UFOs. So that kind of came out of left field. And that one was like hard to watch because they're talking about aliens and stuff like that, and they have the same serious vibe as like the last episode where the guy was talking about his daughter missing or something like that. And then,
Are you saying you don't believe in aliens?
I mean, that pill is harder to swallow in my opinion. So, but
Probably should have led with that and then gone into the more serious stuff.
I don't know. I think they were just like, hey, they've watched four of the 6 episodes. They'll watch the 5th one to get to the 6th one. So. But yeah, so it's a good show. I recommend it, and I'm interested to see what they come out in the future. TV done. Time.
Hello. So as you have probably deduced, I had video games.
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't realize what you had.
So my news, Fable 4, it's happening.
Yep.
There you
Why?
go. Huh?
Why?
I don't know. I just decided they wanted to make money. So we're all going back to Albion for some more hijinks.
Is it what's the Lionhead Studios?
I don't think it was Lionhead. It was the same guys who were doing Forza Horizon.
The racing game.
Yeah. Which, I mean, the graphics look freaking amazing.
Great, but I mean, like the mechanics are completely different. How are you gonna
Well,
do
yeah, obviously.
Because Lionhead was Peter
What are you talking about?
Molyneux's.
We'll be racing the carriages down the road.
Lionhead was Peter Molyneux's gaming studio, and I think they went bankrupt.
It's in development at Playground Games.
So it's a completely new gaming studio.
Yeah.
All right. Because Fable 2 and 3 were 2 was okay.
I
3
like
was
2.
horrible.
3 was,
And then like all the games that Lionhead tried to produce after that, like
were just,
honestly, like Peter Molyneux would probably be in jail now, considering all the false advertising he did, or at least he'd be bankrupt. But he just sold and made a ton of money. Have you ever listened to that guy talk about like advertising his games? He just would flat out lie to your face about how great they are. They're nothing like it. So
sound like the people that did the first Destiny game.
yeah,
I thought the first one was
Bungie.
good. This second one is where I felt like I've been cheated.
yeah. Well, it's free now.
Just looking at the camera like they're watching, and I'm just like,
I'm just saying.
They might one day, and they'll be like, no,
sorry, guys.
I'm sorry.
But, I mean,
wipe off the tears with all my money.
I mean, Forza Horizon, great game series. I don't know how they're gonna transition to like an MMO.
Is it an MMO? Or is it just an RPG?
I think it's an RPG,
An action adventure RPG?
action adventure RPG. But I mean, it's kind of nice that a new one's coming out, sort of in the same veins as like some nostalgia, and it's gonna be coming out for the new Xbox Series X.
So like Fable always,
Which I'm sure Skyrim will also come out for that.
whenever it's sequeled, it always had like an update in the world, like an industrial revolution or something like that. Do they have any idea what they're going to do for the fourth one? I mean, they're not going to be like the nuclear era.
Yeah, it's gonna be modern times.
Yeah, with magic.
Magic.
They did show kind of like in Fable 3, sort of.
I think they had like flintlock pistols or something like that.
Yeah, they had more advanced weapons, but then like less magic. You know? So, but then like this crazy ending happened. It's stupid. So,
I've never played any of them, so I wouldn't.
the first one's really good.
Yeah, the first one was good. I liked the second one. I was replaying that on the Game Pass because that was on there for free.
Yeah,
So that was actually fun.
You did stupid dog. I remember that being like a big selling point. Like they were talking about all the crazy stuff the dog can do. And it's just all it is just a little fetcher. It just gets you crap and brings it back. That's about it.
It's a golden retriever.
It's a retriever, yeah.
But while I was sitting there playing it, I was like, "This is cool, but Skyrim exists."
Yeah, Skyrim might be better, and you get a dog in Skyrim. So
You do.
all right.
So that's the news. That's going to be coming out. Probably be more about it when they later this month when they do their online
I think
thing.
it's going to be a new console game.
I think it's going to be a new console game. Yeah.
I didn't have the news for games, but they did show where Xbox, they won't let you buy a full year membership for the Xbox Gold anymore. They're limiting it down to 3 months because they're assuming that when this Xbox Series X comes over, they might be free online like PlayStation did, because now once the opening date of Xbox Series X coming out, they no longer have where you can purchase an Xbox Live Gold membership. So they don't know if it'll just be kind of meshed into this Game Pass Ultimate, or if it'll just be like a free service that they have now. But they've limited it down to where you can buy up until Xbox Series X comes out, and then after that,
It's only because they're probably doing that because of how many people are going to transition.
Yeah, they took
Xbox One to Series X.
So they're going to give you free crap when the new console comes out
the year-long subscription. You're no longer allowed to, or no longer able to purchase that online.
because it's going to be free for the new console.
Maybe they haven't confirmed that, but that's what people are speculating because they've limited what you can get now.
I mean, what is it like? $400 I think is what they said for the new console.
I didn't see the price.
I mean,
$400 and $70 for a game. They better give me something for it. So.
I better get a little something for free.
A little something. All right, cool. What news?
That was my news.
What reviews have you for us?
I played Astroneer.
Yeah, I played that.
2019 game. We got limited release, trial stuff in 2016, but officially released last year. And it's a game that has no plot. It's basically like Minecraft and No Man's Sky had a kid.
Oh.
And it's predominantly No Man's Sky's kid. Minecraft.
He inherited most of the genes
was
from
not
that.
fully represented in the gene pool, but there's a vein of it in there. There's no plot. You're just going around mining stuff, creating resources, building stuff. And it's mind-numbing to play a little bit. The controls are kind of But I sat and played through it for like 2 or 3 hours, and it was all right.
I think everything you can do in that game, you can do in No Man's Sky.
Yeah, I think so.
So,
I think there's actually more you can do in No Man's Sky.
Because you can land on the planet, you crash land on the planet when you start out.
Yeah.
You gotta the only thing that's kind of interesting is you have to tether your oxygen. So
Which is annoying as hell.
It's a interesting plot mechanic. So you start out where you have to breathe next to your ship, and then if you want to go out and venture to get more resources,
You have to build tethers and extend the oxygen line, which will go forever.
Right. And that's fun. And then you can dig down into the earth and collect whatever you find down there, and then you can fix your spaceship and then go to another planet and do it all over again.
That's it.
That's pretty much it.
It was on Game Pass. It was free. I'd never played it. It was fun for a little bit, and then it just kind of got boring. It got boring real quick.
My kids liked it, and then I got No Man's Sky for free, and that's way better. So
Yeah, I've played a little bit of the No Man's Sky, but
I still haven't played
was
No
all
Man's Sky. I was excited for it when it was first coming out, and then I saw the reviews were trashing it.
yeah.
But that was like, what, a couple years ago?
Yeah,
and since then, they've been re-updated.
Right.
It's basically like in a completely new game, and they fixed it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean they did a bunch of DLCs that were all free. That they have upgraded a lot from what I've seen. So.
So instead of playing Astroneer, play No Man's Sky.
That would be the recommendation, yeah.
That's the gist of what we're getting at.
Since they're both on Game Pass, right?
Yeah.
Are they both?
On Ultimate, at least.
Yeah, on Xbox. Yeah.
Check it out.
I would say Astroneer, if you have, like, younger kids.
They probably would like it.
Well, it'd probably be easier for them to understand, you know?
Yeah.
But that's about it.
I mean, not like, 3-year-olds, but,
No,
8 or 9,
my son's
10 maybe.
So,
Cool. Your kids liked it.
Yeah, they did. So
They have the Hayden's Kids Review stamp of approval.
they'll entertain it for long enough until they decide, they want to go back to Minecraft or whatever. All right,
Minecraft
cool.
is better.
Do you have any other news for us
I don't.
or reviews? All right, cool.
Other
Well,
than that, I'm
that's our that's
perspiring.
our news and reviews for video games, movies, and TV shows. If you want us to talk about something specific or look into something specific, let us know, and we will dig into it for next week's episode. Now we're going to do a top 10 list. This is a top 10 list that Mitch posted on Facebook, and our listeners have commented, and we've heard them, and I've got their names and stuff written down as we go about. And we will talk briefly about each show and then wrap this up because it's hot. So
I do declare.
this was a top 10 list of shows with horrible endings. Okay.
Planned horrible endings.
Planned.
Not like just got
Not like,
canceled.
Yeah.
Like somebody took time and wrote this, and this was what they all agreed is how this show should end.
And I think the term ending is kind of relative. Like, honestly, shows could have a horrible last season, and then some of them could be great up until the final line delivered, and so
There's a bit of everything here.
we've done some research on what, IMDb has polled audiences as saying these are bad shows, and then we posted them on our Facebook and then asked our users to poll them, and this is what we got. So, number 10, Sopranos.
Horrible ending.
Why would you say that's a horrible ending?
Well, have you watched the show?
No.
So you go through seasons of plot and nonsense and very a lot of character development.
I mean, it says
Motive.
it's a 9.2 out of 10 for the overall series.
Yeah, it was a great show.
Okay.
I mean, towards the end, it was kind of going some stuff, but the last episode, just like the way they cut it, is Tony walks in to meet the family, and then he's sitting there, and then the screen goes black, and you hear screaming and gunfire, and then that's it. You're just like,
So they're
What?
all dead.
no, you don't even know. They don't say anything. They don't tell you. You don't,
Tony walked out like Rambo.
Yeah.
That's how it ended.
no, that doesn't happen either. I mean, Tony never had the makings of a varsity athlete, so I don't know if he did. For those of you who watch the show, you understand that joke. But I mean, it was a good show that had a lot of potential and did a lot of stuff right. There was some seasons,
Yeah.
but just the way it went out, like it was just a bad taste.
How many
in everybody's-
seasons was it?
I think it was how many seasons was it, Mitch? I want to say like 6.
It says it went from 99 to 2007. Doesn't say how many seasons.
So almost 8 seasons, maybe.
I think something like that.
Unless they had like some time off. Probably during the writer's strike, they took some time off.
Maybe so.
Anyway, cool. It's a show that I think crime drama is kind of an acquired taste for a show. Like, it took me forever to get into Breaking Bad, but and then I really loved the show. Shows like that, like Sopranos, I think.
I mean, Sopranos came out at a time before like they were just kind of beating it down.
Yeah.
Because this was 1999. People still really like The Godfather. Goodfellas didn't come out all that long ago. Casino didn't come. It was still very much in America culture.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Number 10 was Sopranos. Number 9 is House of Cards.
Never watched
and
an episode.
Walter L. voted for this one. I would have voted.
Yeah,
for
TJ.
TJ
Hooker?
Might as well be if you're watching.
I would have
or
voted for this
listening.
one, but I had to vote for somebody else. I was held at gunpoint. So, House of Cards is. Have you seen the show?
I have not.
Have you seen the show?
Nope.
All right. So, House of Cards is about Kevin Spacey playing a whip for the. I think he's for the House of Representatives at first. Anyway, he's in Congress, and
Where you going?
Going over there.
What are you doing?
He's talking about. Don't let me.
all right. So, anyways, I guess he's going to the bathroom. You couldn't wait for 20 more minutes. This dude's got a colon of a rabbit.
Dun, 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 dun,
Well, anyways,
dun, dun,
so he basically corrupts his way, political corruption all the way up to the becoming president of the United States. Very fascinating how he does it. There's murder, there's cover-ups, conspiracies. There's all sorts of stuff that would make any tinfoil hat person believe it is actually happening in modern politics. Up until the final season. And when the final season happens, the Kevin Spacey thing, sexual assault
I was going to say,
stuff.
wasn't the last season he got in trouble? Yeah.
Yeah, he got in trouble for that stuff. They booted him off the show. They wrote him off the show. They brought everybody back to wrap up the show, and without him being the president of the United States. And then they just kind of shoehorned a character into being the president of the United States, and it was just it was not good.
They should have just wrote it in that he stepped down for whatever his allocations of real life were.
And they killed him off. It was dumb. I mean, I would have rather just the show go unfinished than have the ending that they did. And I get it that they really some people were counting on that show's ending for their jobs and stuff like that. So it's cool for a production standpoint that they were able to get people together, but it was a really bad ending. And then they did a whole ambiguous ending too with the character that was taking over his place, because Kevin Spacey had his character, Frank Underwood, had this ability where he could talk and break the fourth wall and talk to the audience. Sometimes it would be to educate you on politics, and sometimes it would be just to crawl under your skin and make you really freaked out about what his mindset is when he becomes president and he's thinking about crushing people for the sake of power and stuff like that. So, to have that kind of inside head look at a person who's that evil.
So he was the president, but he was that evil.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. He was very evil. He was, supremely evil. But when he left, they just gave that ability to somebody else, and it was kind of dumb. So
just passed on that inherent evilness.
Yeah. And Kevin Spacey, he may be a horrible person in real life, but that he was great at that actor. He was great at that role. I'm not gonna lie. So, all right, cool. That was number 9. Number 8 is Castle. Ashley B voted for this show. Have you ever seen any Castle?
I might have seen an episode or two. Was that Castle was the one with Nathan Fillion?
Yep.
Where he's like a.
Everything come out okay?
Yeah, I've been holding it for 20.
No, you didn't. You crapped right before we started this podcast.
Yeah, I didn't.
So
What show are we talking about?
Castle.
Horrible ending.
that's for
Very funny show.
dropping F-bombs on my podcast. All right, Castle. Yeah, did you watch the show?
I did. I watched almost all of it, actually.
So Nathan Fillion and this girl. How many seasons was this?
It was
I don't know.
8 seasons.
Pretty long.
6 of them were really good.
Yeah, she and him apparently butt heads the entire time. The main girl,
Like in real life or in the show?
in real life, she was like this cop and his romantic fling that they were on and off again throughout the entire show. In reality, they hated each other, and apparently it was more her fault because she would pick fights with everybody on set, the producers, the writers, the directors, everybody, and they just fired her. They flat out fired her one day on set. It's like one of the craziest firings that's ever happened in TV history. They fired her, and they rewrote the entire final season with somebody else, and of course it was trash.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But, I guess if you are a hard person to work with, I can't imagine anybody having a hard time with Nathan Fillion. He seems like the coolest dude.
Because when it came out, she was like, "Oh, he's a good jerk. He was doing stuff to her, messing around with everybody, and just being a."
In other words, he
Dick.
probably had a sense of humor and she didn't.
Yeah,
That's the
but
way it
then,
seems.
reading everybody else was just like, "No, we love working with Nathan Fillion. It's you,
It's you, lady.
it's you." What's her name? Stana Katic, whatever the hell her name is.
I don't know. I never.
Oh, she was in a Bond movie.
Oh, well, there you go. All right. Number 7, Dexter. Jamie G voted for this one. Did anybody ever watch Dexter?
I did not, but I've heard parts of it. I heard about it. Why it was bad.
Yeah. You watched some?
I watched a couple episodes.
I've never watched it.
It was all right. I mean, but I never sat down to watch it.
What's
just to
the
get
premise
into
of
it.
the show, Mitch?
Basically, this guy's a serial killer that hunts other serial killers and kills it.
And he works for the police, whatever. He's like
Something along the lines where he
like a
either works.
forensic.
There's a blood
yeah.
splatter analyst.
Yeah, something like that. Well, throughout the entire show, he's helping kill all these people, and they never realize that he's also a killer.
Mm-hmm.
And then all this leads up to him possibly getting caught, and then he just walks away as a lumberjack.
Yeah. So I guess John Lithgow killed his wife in the show, and that was like the high point of the show. And then they could have left it at that.
Yeah.
And then they went with one more season where he just, lumberjacks off in the sunset, and it seemed like it was unnecessary, is what a lot of
John
people said.
Lithgow.
From what I've read and seen on like YouTube about it and stuff, that him becoming a lumberjack fits nothing of his personality, nothing of his character throughout the entire series. It makes no sense whatsoever for him to go and just
Go off and be a lumberjack.
It became a sawmill splatter analysis.
A sawdust
Splatter analysis.
analysis.
Number 6, Seinfeld. Mary T voted for this one. Good job, Mary T. Great show. Controversial ending, I'd say. I didn't mind the ending.
Because when did the show end? In like 2000? Did it end in the 90s? Well,
Yes, it
1990s
ended,
when it ended?
it ended before 2000.
I remember my parents watching it and me sitting there, like, when I was,
I think
like
it ended in the
6
year
or 7.
2000.
And my dad was like, well, that sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody was kind of mad about it.
Well, so I've watched extensive interviews with Jerry Seinfeld, the guy who made the show with Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh, Larry David?
Larry David.
And this show started in '89. I didn't realize that. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I guess it ended in what, 96?
98.
98?
Okay.
So it went 9 seasons then.
Yeah, the first 2, like, they almost got canceled, I think, because they weren't doing too well. And then it became...
Well, nobody knew how to handle the show because
It's
the
a show
show is
about nothing.
literally it's just stupid stuff that happens with no causality. It's what's called slice of life narrative, where it doesn't really have a beginning and it doesn't need to go anywhere and doesn't have an ending. It's just
You're just watching...
you just watch people do their mundane things in their life. It's just these characters, and, if you appreciate these characters for what they're worth, they do it about the stupidest way possible, the funniest way possible. And, you really feel like you get to know these characters. And you kind of want to get to know them, but you also kind of think they're douchebags, too.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it says here, Larry David instituted a policy of no hugging and no learning, meaning the show must avoid sentimentality and moral lessons, and the characters must never learn nor grow from their wrongdoings.
yeah, so where do you go with the show? How do you end a show like that? And they felt like the best way to end the show was to punish the characters. And they did. So literally the final episode of the show is they go to court and they have all these character witnesses, which is all these people that they've treated like trash.
For, like, every season.
The entire show comes up and talks bad about them.
There's like 80 of them.
Yeah, then they get sentenced to prison. And the reason why they get sentenced to prison is because they watch a fat guy get robbed, and they don't do anything but make fun of him for it. John Panette was the fat guy, by the way. And they make fun of him for the entire time, and then
Serves them right.
yeah, so they get it's called the Good Samaritan Law, which apparently is like a real thing. They had the opportunity to do something and they didn't, and so that's like the ultimate upcoming I could think of for them to happen instead of just them ending it. But yeah, some people didn't like that.
I mean, that show coined so much stuff.
It's in my opinion the funniest sitcom
Yeah.
of any TV history. So yeah, I loved it.
I mean, who doesn't know about the Soup Nazi?
Oh yeah,
I'll be honest, I never watched it. I never
Bubble
chose
Boy.
to watch it. And when it came on, I changed the channel.
Bubble Boy. Bubble Boy is a great episode.
Bubble Boy. I was in the pool.
It says moops. It's Moore's.
The double
That's
dip.
a typo.
The double dip.
Oh yeah. You took the chip. You dipped.
He took a bite.
You took a bite.
And then he dipped again. He did the double dip.
Double dip.
Which was not a thing until that show.
Yeah, they just coined phrases that people yell at each other now. So
Yeah.
that's basically Seinfeld.
It's not a lie if you believe it.
Okay.
It's the Summer of George.
That's true.
It was a good show. I mean, it's still on now.
Yeah. I mean, me and the wife binged it on Netflix, and she didn't think she'd like it, but she loved it. So.
The one episode I remember actually seeing, I remember George Costanza hiding under his desk from his boss.
That's a great episode.
Was that when he's with the Yankees?
Yeah.
Was it the,
Yeah,
was
something,
it the,
something to do with baseball,
He
yeah.
calls
Was it the Calzones?
He has Jerry call a bomb because so his boss, the Yankees,
George Steinbrenner.
he comes inside to his office. He's like, "Where's George at?" "Oh, he's not here. I'll just sit here and wait." And he pulls out a newspaper and sits and waits. And George is hiding under his desk, so he's panicked and doesn't know how to like come out of his desk, like acting like he wasn't taking a nap the entire time. So he calls Jerry and has Jerry calling a bomb threat, so Mr. Steinbrenner would run out, and so he thought he would get off scot-free, but of course it doesn't work out that way. So
They never film Steinbrenner forward. It's always the back of him.
'Cause they couldn't
And
get the actual
guy. George Steinbrenner. He's busy owning the most expensive
They've had some pretty
team
good
ever.
people came
But
in
Larry
themselves.
David is the one that plays it.
Oh, no,
And he also plays
bomb.
Jerry Stiller, who passed away very recently, in memoriam.
Yeah, it's George's dad.
George's dad. Larry David plays his attorney in like one of the first couple seasons, and he's wearing a cape.
That's right. Yeah, that's a funny show.
And he just introduces himself as Frank Costanza's lawyer.
All right, cool. Next is number 5, 2.5 Men. Christopher W. Christopher W. voted for that one.
It was on for 12 seasons.
Golly.
2003 to 2015.
I hate shows with laugh tracks. That's my one big turnoff. Even with Seinfeld, there'd be sometimes I'd be like, oh. But
I wouldn't have laughed there.
Yeah, I hate people telling me when to laugh. You know, it's a thing. But
I liked this show until Ashton Kutcher showed up.
I think most people did.
This is when.
But Charlie Sheen was just a horrible person.
I know, but it was funny.
Well, this is when Charlie Sheen was still lovable.
Yeah.
And then his descent into he's like a tiger-blooded wizard from space.
Wasn't he getting paid like $1 million an episode?
He was like
I don't know.
Yeah, he was the most well-paid actor on TV.
That's stupid.
And he was always winning.
Yeah, winning.
Yeah.
Winning.
And he got killed by a piano.
And
You know, it's just like, what's the easiest way to get him off the show? Kill him with a piano.
They killed him with the piano, and then in the same scene, you see it pan out, and the producer sitting there, and he gets killed with the piano. It's like, why?
They ran out of material. So, yeah, I don't know. I never watched the show. I don't think I ever watched one episode, so I couldn't care less about it. But Christopher W. does. Good for you, Christopher W. Number 4, Quantum Leap.
Never seen it.
Never
Charles J. voted for Quantum Leap. It's a fun show. It's got I can't remember the dude's name. If you wouldn't mind looking it up for me.
I will.
It's about this guy. He does a
Leaps
time traveling
quantum.
thing, but he really goes through alternate dimensions, you know. And like some episodes, he'll.
Scott Bakula.
Okay, I just remember his Captain
hold
Archer from the Enterprise series.
He's Dr. Sam Beckett in the show.
He flies in and out of different alternate realities. You know, like one episode I remember he looks at himself in the mirror and he's a dude with Down syndrome. So, you know, that's
Just all these alternate worlds.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the show ends where he's always trying to like figure out how to get back to his reality and all this other kind of stuff. And like you're led to believe that he's found it. And then he pushes the button or whatever, activates the MacGuffin to go off to wherever he thinks he's going to go off to. And then the title screen of you know, character so and so never found his way home. That's the end.
4 or 5 seasons of trying to find his way.
Yeah,
And then you
you
end
know.
it with a word phrase.
You're just like, wow, that's it, huh? Okay. So maybe that was like the producer's way of punishing the audience for not watching enough. Like I guess they had to get canceled or something. That was a weird.
It's like, this is what you get. He
Yeah.
died. Or he didn't die. He never found where
That's
he
the
was
end of it.
going.
I mean,
Gone
but
forever.
theoretically, with, you know, if multiverse is real, there's infinite amount of, you know, possibilities. What's the chance that you're going to get back to the same one?
I don't know. Rick does it all the time.
Well,
Well, he is the most smart person in the world.
He's a
Smartest
I'm a god, Morty. I'm a god.
if one exists, it's me.
All right, cool. Quantum Leap. I could see this show being remade again. By the way,
I mean, yeah, it's been a while since it was on. It ended in '93, so
or a movie.
Oh, wow.
So
yeah.
yeah, it's been a while. And you know, I'd actually go back and watch it.
Netflix.
So I'm sure it's on Netflix. Yeah.
Probably.
No, I mean
haven't
they can
seen-
pick it up and redo it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they'll redo anything.
They apparently have money. So
Allegedly.
all right, number 3, That 70s Show.
Horrible ending.
Mary
Yes.
T. and some guy named Mitch voted for that show.
Yeah, some guy.
I mean-
That's the whole last season of that show was bad.
Yeah,
But-
where Topher Grace left the show. They
Yeah.
brought in this other dude.
They just happened to like start living at their house or something. I don't
Like
know.
they're just like, hey, there's this guy we know, and they was just like, oh,
Yeah.
they just like brought him right in. And it's like, what?
They just kind of replaced him.
But then in the last episode, Topher Grace comes home.
I think Ashton Kutcher left too.
Yeah. But well, in the last episode, they all come back to like the home, but nothing's resolved. Like he doesn't get back with his girlfriend. They don't like split ways. Like never talk again. It's just they're there. Oh, 1980.
That's it.
Nothing happens.
I mean, I expected that 70 show to end on New Year's, 1979. It's like, because he's
Yeah.
not going to go that, then like the title card comes up and they just like cross it out and they put an 8.
yeah.
I remember
But-
they tried a 1980s show. That
80s show.
I figured there would at least be some kind of like reconciliation with him being gone and like trying to write letters to her and all that. And it's just basically the character just said, "All right, bye." It's like you didn't resolve anything.
Well, that's kind of like
They just
the
continue to
writers,
exist.
The producers are like, you know what? We got our money's worth out of this. Let's wrap this on and go on to the
Let's
next
go do
one.
other stuff.
You know what's a great example of that? Is number 2, Lost. I voted for this one. My wife voted for this one, and Lillian S.
So, some people were
You were coerced into voting.
yeah, some people were
for us.
coerced.
Yeah, I was.
Are you going to get the old stabby stab?
No, everything's good now. Since
You
I
voted the
for
right
it,
way.
I voted the right way. So
You
Lost
chose
is
wisely.
a great show where they build up all his exposition, all his character background, and everything's made sense, and you really feel like they're coming to a place where they're going to have all the answers of the show's crazy mysteries resolved, and they don't, because they were already dead or something stupid like that. So
Or what, they're still on the island or something?
no, you find out that they died at some point, and then the last season is them in the afterlife just kind of finding each other, and it's stupid.
Well, that's what I started watching the show, and then through somebody or something I saw or read, I found out that they're all dead in the end. I'm like, well, why bother even watching this? That's stupid.
Yeah, I remember
They're going through all this struggle.
When the Lost ending happened, it was a pretty big phenomenon. And
Yeah.
Everybody who knew somebody who watched the show or they themselves watched it.
Yeah.
I remember when the show ended, everybody was mad. Nobody thought it was good how they ended it. Every single person I knew who watched the show was like, it's stupid, it sucked, how dare they?
They never explained things. They never explained why the polar bears were there. I mean, maybe they did in like a weird background, like hieroglyphic thing on a cave wall or something like that, but not really.
Yeah.
The smoke monster was some sort of weird invention. I can't remember. It was all dumb. And you could tell, like, the writers were like, wow, I never thought we'd get this far. We got to answer all these questions now.
Crap.
Yeah.
If none of that makes sense, we'll just make the ending not make sense.
And
Well,
hope for the best.
that was number 2. Josh C voted for that one
Which
also.
I felt like this or that 70s show should have been higher
Yeah.
than the last one. Yeah.
No, I'm pretty confident with this last
The
one.
last one is Game of Thrones, obviously. And Tom, Mike M, Trey W, Ryan A, Arthur E, Kermit W, Bez D, Mark B, David K all voted for this show. So it definitely won out.
That was the most weak, limp-wristed excuse bullshit for a ending of a show I've ever seen. That was so well done.
Are you going to keep ranting and cussing, or are you just going to keep ranting?
A little bit of ranting.
All right.
It was a show that was so well done for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Even the first season where they didn't have a lot of money, and it showed. And then they got a lot of money, and the writing was still good, and stuff was still going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then just to watch it just nosedive in that last season. All this build-up for a fight you couldn't even see.
So
I could see it fine. I don't know. I don't understand how people
I turned up the
see it.
brightest on my and I'm just like, what?
I saw it just fine. I don't understand how people couldn't see it. I don't know. I mean, other than the fact that in the beginning it's dark because the lights are going out.
Yeah.
So remember, like in season 1, when not Jon Snow's brother, the one that died.
Benjen Stark.
No, that's his uncle, the brother that he got killed off, and they put like the wolf head on his body.
That was like season 3.
That was
They
like season.
parade him around. Well, okay. Well, anyways, they didn't have a budget to do a battle scene back then, so they just like had all his character build up in dialogue, and then they shows him capturing Jaime Lannister, and all this other stuff. And, they thought that was really cool way to keep it very personal and intense, and still have enough exposition to keep you interested. Around season 5-ish, when they started getting money to do these big battle scenes, I think they had a really good blend, like the Battle of Bastards and stuff like that. And I think they had a really good blend of like, cool action, and then awesome effects and really good dialogue to keep you, right when Ramses died.
Yeah, that was still when they were in a really good groove with their writing and the action, and everything blended really well together.
And then season 8, they had the most money they've ever had for a TV show, I think, in history.
And they planned it for 2 years.
And
And it sucked.
And it was just,
The endings were horrible.
I think they relied too much on special effects.
I thought that most of the characters seemed true except for Dany, because she just kind of went off the cliff, like out of nowhere, crazy.
Yeah, she jumped the shark.
Yeah. I mean, because most of the characters, I felt like they stayed true to their character except for her.
I don't know what was up with that. I don't know what was up with them deciding that.
8 seasons of this White Walker, the ultimate battle. And then, of course, in typical Game of Thrones fashion, there's a bunch of backstabbing.
Yeah.
Because like, oh, we're not going to help. But then certain people are like, no, we're going to.
Well, they had all this like build up, and then dude gets stabbed and killed, by Arya just out of nowhere.
Yeah, he gets like 23 skidoo. She's like, I got your hand. She just goes, drop.
Well, that's fine, but it just felt like there wasn't really that much resolution. Like, why were the White Walkers there?
I love the whole battle scene, but I did feel like that part was rushed. It was like, they've built up to this whole thing. How are you going to resolve it
in one episode?
Yeah.
You don't really understand what the king of the White Walkers, what he really wants. Like, what's his thing?
There was no
explanation for it. He was just this purge that was coming through the lands. And
now, while the producers and stuff could have done better, I still blame this on one person.
Okay, George R. R. Martin.
Yes.
All right. Well, I mean, granted, he never wrote the books, so
That's his fault.
Finished writing the books. But
do it, Tom. Give in to the hate.
That bespectacled, fat bum sitting at home.
We're almost
during
done.
the Corona lockdown, and he can't write the book because of Corona.
We're
It's
almost
like,
done.
you useless, fat bum. I
right.
hate you. You had a chance, and you freaking blew it.
George might watch this, and then he's gonna be like, "No."
What is he going to do? Kill Jon Snow? Yeah. It's too late. Show's over.
That's the other thing. I didn't like how just like Jon Snow's character just went back to the woods. I mean,
I'm going back to the wall.
There's a way that could work out and be like an okay ending. It just did not feel like it. It felt like it was a rushed ending.
Well, I felt like he felt like he fit in with those people better than he did everyone else.
That's fine.
That's why he went back with them.
I feel like it was a rushed ending. I don't feel like when it came, you saw it and understand he's going to the wall. It happened in like the last 10 minutes of the final episode.
But why is he going to the wall? The White Walkers are gone. Who's he keeping out?
He wasn't going to the wall. He was going beyond the wall with the White Walkers.
He was banished because he killed the queen. So, it was a bad ending. I understand why a lot of people didn't like that one, especially all the hype, and HBO is expensive and all this other kind of stuff. So
again, I thought it was bad, but I didn't think it was the worst.
Also,
there you go.
The Cersei death.
That wasn't horrible.
It was horrible, but it wasn't the horrible we wanted.
Yeah, she deserved to be like decimated.
That's not how the show works. We all know that. So
I mean, 8 seasons of her just like going off the rails and ruining everything.
There was a lot of things like prophecy that talked about how she was going to die and all sort of stuff, and then they never did it.
Yeah.
Or they talk about how Jon Snow is like the Azor High or whatever dude. Like he's like the prince that was promised.
Did they ever explain who that was?
No.
Oh, okay. I guess it was Arya because she killed the White Walker.
The princess?
I don't know.
It doesn't translate.
But anyway, there you go. That's our top 10 list.
Rap ending.
We will announce another theme. I think we're going to shy away from the top 10 list for next week's episode. I think we're going to do something more like along the lines of like, who's your favorite bad guy or something like that. And then we'll orchestrate the entire episode and we'll talk about user comments that you guys talk about. If you like Joker from Dark Knight or something like that, we'll read your comment out loud and tell you why you're wrong or something. So, but yeah, so that'll be look for our Facebook group and our social mediums, and we'll talk more about that soon to be before this episode comes out. Thanks so much. Let's do our punishment wheel of death.
For me,
Mitch can be punished again. And now it's time to spin the wheel of punishments. Mitch by me TV.
I'm making a new wheel next week.
I think that's fair. I think it's time for Mitch to make the wheel. I don't know.
I'm just gonna go. Tom's punished.
She's gonna say Tom the whole freaking time.
I don't know how Mitch has been punished so frequent. It's kind of crazy.
Oh, I gotta find.
Everybody got a pen so I can write down what I'm punished by, so I'll remember.
I've had people be like, message me and be like, just give Mitch a break,
He's gonna have a breakdown one of these days.
Let him have it. Just let him have one. So,
where is it? If I'm a pen here so I can write this down.
Oh man, sure is hot.
All right, ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
While walking in the woods one day, Chris Martin saw something strange.
Chris Pratt? Oh, the Pratt brothers. Who's watched
I know you do. Look, there's animals, Mitch. Look at all of them hop.
You're trying to run away from those guys. Those creepy guys with short shorts.
Long sleeves and shorts. That was clearly a puppet. What? Penguins. This is apparently a Nickelodeon show in like the 90s. Definitely the 90s. Just looking at this, it's the 90s.
My little girl actually might like this because the animals. So at least I'll have a reason to watch it.
Ah, it's called. All right,
What was it called?
Zubafu. Or sorry, Zubumafu.
Zubumafu.
Or I'll just hold that up so you can read it.
It's a great name. Everybody will remember that.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That's what you get to watch. I'm very pleased with myself.
They do a show called Wildcrats, which is a little bit better, I would assume. So, all right, that's our punishment that Mitch will review for next week's episode. Thanks so much. Be sure to like and subscribe. Give us those internet clickety-clacks that give us the monies and whatnot.
Comments and etceteras.
And make sure you go to our sponsor, the Dog Spot. Look at their website.
Adopt a dog.
Give them the clickety-clacks so they will continue to sponsor us, and we'll bring you good content as we did today. And for next week's Mitch's punishment.
Also, if you would like to be featured as a commercial or a shout out for anything, let us know through Facebook. Maybe we can get together with you for sponsorship.
Here's looking at you, Galactic Quest.
Stay classy, San Diego.
That's it
I hate
from
my
goodbye from Mitch. Goodbye from Tom.
Goodbye, Tom.
And goodbye from me, Hayden. Goodbye.
Oh my God. You might want some wet wipes.